Hey everybody, it's Mattie here with Altcoin Buzz. Hope you're having a good hump day, a good Wednesday, and we've got a lot in the news today. We're going to be talking about Fidelity from a number of different angles. You may have heard about big news with Fidelity Investments right now. The market has had a little bit of an uptick, so we'll take a look and explore that trend as well. There are some people, as always, with their opinions on the price of Bitcoin, what's going to be happening. You may have heard as well in the last piece of our news coverage today, we're going to look at Litecoin, which is going the confidential route. Is Litecoin becoming a privacy coin? We'll get our own Luke Lammer's take on the issue, as well as Mr. Charlie Lee's, the father and architect, as I always describe him, of Litecoin. But let's begin with that big news here on Fidelity Investments. We're on news.bitcoin.com, the daily Fidelity Crypto Custody update. Cryptopia hack continues. So we're not going to be covering the latter part of that headline, but it looks like the Fidelity Crypto Custody program or strategy, whatever you want to call it, is set for March. Back in October of 2018, the Boston headquartered financial services corporation Fidelity Investments announced the launch of a subsidiary called Fidelity Digital Asset Services, LLC. The company is dedicated to providing cryptocurrency services, including custody and trade execution, to institutional investors such as hedge funds, family offices, and market intermediaries. In other words, big accounts. And according to a new report, the first service from the venture, a cryptocurrency custody solution, is now scheduled for March of 2019. You can read about that same story here on Bloomberg with this article from yesterday, January 29th. Fidelity is set to plan March launch of Bitcoin custody service. And as we peruse through this, I want to alert you to this particular quote. "We are currently serving a select set of eligible clients as we continue to build our initial solutions," the company said in a statement Tuesday. "Over the next several months, we will thoughtfully engage with and prioritize prospective clients based on needs, jurisdiction, and other factors." That's a pretty good quote in my opinion. As always, quotes are going to be vague and they tend to dodge rather the specifics, but that's not a bad one if you ask me. Here with a better sense of the numbers, we're on cryptoglobe.com. Fidelity with 7.2 trillion in AUM, that's assets under management. 7.2 trillion, reportedly launching a crypto custody in March. Boston headquartered Fidelity Investments, one of the largest multinational financial service companies in the world with over 7.2 trillion in assets under management, launched their new subsidiary called Fidelity Digital Assets. That was in October of 2018, as we discussed. And the Fidelity Digital Assets arm have promised to deliver two institutional solutions. Number one, institutional grade custody of digital assets. And number two, trade execution. A couple of very promising quotes here. One from Abigail P. Johnson, the CEO of Fidelity Investments. "Our goal is to make digitally native assets such as Bitcoin more accessible to investors. We expect to continue investing and experimenting over the long term with ways to make this emerging asset class easier for our clients to understand and use." So there you go. She calls out Bitcoin by name. And then you have Tom Jessup, who we featured previously in the news. He's the head of Fidelity Digital Assets. He said, quote, "We started exploring blockchain and digital assets several years ago, and those efforts have been successful in helping us understand and advance our thinking around cryptocurrencies. The creation of Fidelity Digital Assets is the first step in a long-term vision to create a full-service enterprise-grade platform for digital assets." Not too bad. Everybody under the sun seems to be covering this story. You can also read about it on bitcoinist.com. Fidelity's Bitcoin custody service set for launch in March. Fingers crossed at least. Things always change in this space, as we all know. And here on Coindesk.com, Fidelity may formally launch its crypto custody service in March. Let us know in the comments below whether or not you think this is a good idea. I'm sure some of you would not want to see the institutionalization of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I think it's a good thing. I think this is what we need to go mainstream, and Fidelity is in the business of making people money through some of those funds that we've just explored. I think it's a good thing, but hey, if you disagree, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, as I was preparing for this video and putting all the news pieces together with help from the team, we had some perhaps gloomy predictions and all these pieces that we've amassed about the price of Bitcoin. You can see as an example here on ccn.com, if Bitcoin price fails to remain above mid 3,500, expect rapid fall to $2,000. That's still possible. You can read about that here. We'll link to that in the description below. There's another piece here on Bitcoin coinerx.com, Bitcoin price analysis, Bitcoin USD, still no bottom in sight. So as you can see, the tone and tenor are a little bit glum, a little bit bleak in these pieces. Bitcoin price watch, BTC rally remains attractive to sellers, meaning that yes, there is a lot of sell-off at the moment. Another example here, Bitcoin price analysis, aiming for longer term floor. That's all possible, but as with all things, we're very often surprised in this space, and I was surprised, again, as we were putting together some of these news pieces, because we've had a pretty decent day, an okay day for Bitcoin, nothing crazy, up a couple of percentage points, but a pretty sensational day for XRP, actually. You can see on the 24-hour chart, it's up over 15%, up 15.5% over the course of the last 24 hours. And again, we're not popping the champagne, but it's nice to see, in some cases, some of these double-digit percentage gains over the course of the last day or so, particularly for XRP. So there does seem to be some news about that. Let's return to it and have a devoted video. We're going to have that soon for you on the channel, so stay tuned for news about XRP and market movement in general, as always. In the meantime, if you are a pessimist and you want to go back, hey, maybe you're correct to be a pessimist. Who knows, right? But if you want to go back and take a look at some of these articles, you can find the links and URLs below. And lastly, today we are exploring Litecoin. There's all kinds of new rumors circulating about Litecoin. Of course, they've had a bit of a media marketing frenzy lately. They had the UFC event. They were the first cryptocurrency to promote themselves, to market themselves at an official UFC event. They've had an official logo redesign. So they're very much concerned about how they're being perceived, I would say, by the general public. And now all of a sudden you have these whispers of confidential transactions on Litecoin. They're more than whispers, actually, by now. You can see here on @CoinNut Exchange, confidential transactions on Litecoin. The Litecoin team just started to work on confidential transactions. Its impact can be huge, and these QAs should answer many of your questions. Let's go to the article here for a closer look. So confidential transaction on Litecoin CT was proposed years ago. Given that the underlying technology has matured enough, the Litecoin team just started to work on CT. Its impact on Litecoin can be huge, and these QAs should answer some of the questions that you may have. So when will Litecoin launch confidential transactions? There's an estimated release time that's somewhere in the vicinity of 2019, but that all depends on funding and what the Litecoin Foundation has to say about that. In number 2 here, you can read about why Litecoin needs or could benefit from confidential transactions. Litecoin targets at the payment market segment where fungibility is important. The current Litecoin transactions are transparent, and Litecoins could be tainted by their transactions histories. So basically, confidential transactions solve this problem by making transaction histories obfuscated. We see privacy as a side effect of confidential transactions, which may be needed by some people. If you're interested in the technology that the Litecoin confidential transactions will be based on, you could take a look at that here at crypto.stanford.edu. This article calls the technology bulletproof. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not the most technical person in the room, but I'll take their word for it for the time being. Is the technology matured enough? The bulletproof idea was proposed back in 2017 and then deployed on Monero in October of 2018. Apparently, it's been running smoothly ever since then. Actually, the Litecoin team have been discussing the CT since 2 years ago, but have been waiting for the maturity of the technology, and now they think that the timing is right. Do confidential transactions require a hard fork? No, they do not. I think that's a nice answer. That's pretty encouraging. Number 6, how about regulatory issues? You guys can read about that. And finally, why does Litecoin adopt the optional privacy instead of making all transactions private? The first reason is backward compatibility. More information is available about this entire topic here on altcoinbuzz.io. Our very own Luke has written about it. Is Litecoin becoming a privacy coin in 2019? In an interesting tweet yesterday, Charlie Lee, the founder of Litecoin, indicated that Litecoin might be heading in a new direction in 2019. Confidential transactions might be a big focus for Litecoin this year. Let's go directly to the tweet and come back to Luke's article. So fungibility is the only property of sound money that is missing from Bitcoin and Litecoin. What is fungibility? Fungibility is the quality of an asset such that it can be interchanged, it can be traded and viewed as equal by whether it's the person selling the asset, whether it's the person buying it. So for example, if I have a bunch of fruit that I'm selling to you, I have ripe apples and I have rotten apples. well, they're all apples, and maybe I have 100 of them for you to choose from. But there's going to be a big difference in terms of your subjective preference for which apples I sell to you. You don't want to purchase my rotten apples. You want to purchase the ones that are in good shape, that are ripe. So those apples have very low fungibility. And I wouldn't say that fungibility, personally speaking, I don't think it's the biggest problem in the world when it comes to Litecoin, but apparently it is something that Charlie Lee wants to address. So he says, now that the scaling debate is behind us, the next battleground will be on fungibility and privacy. I am now focused on making Litecoin more fungible by adding confidential transactions. So the Litecoin Foundation, the team themselves explained how confidential transactions will work on the Litecoin network. Quote, while it's not complete privacy, when spending coins, parties no longer would have insights into how much the other owns, something very valuable for individual security as well as business operations. Confidential transactions is an optional parameter in transactions, which means regulated bodies would still be able to deal in the asset so long as transactions made to and from them are clear and publicly viewable on the blockchain. And as far as timeline goes, again, it's very general, it's very vague, but according to Charlie Lee, somewhere in 2019, at least in that vicinity. You guys can check out his original tweet. We're going to link to that below. You can also check out more information on confidential transactions when it comes to Litecoin here on CryptoBriefing.com. And that about rounds it out for today, guys. Lots of news. As always, be sure you're following Altcoin Buzz and Altcoin Buzz News on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Telegram. Check out our website here. Of course, it's altcoinbuzz.io. If you enjoyed this video, check out our last one somewhere right around here in this area. Hey, smash that thumbs up and give us a like if you did enjoy today's video. Make sure you subscribe as well and share this with your friends if you think it'll interest them. If you choose to invest, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army, on this hump day, on this Wednesday, best of luck. But if not, have a great midweek, a great beginning to the end of your week, and we do hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.